Hello everyone, very good morning to every one of you. My name is Kushbu and in this tutorial we are going to look at one of the interesting topic inside cloud computing video lecture series, that is something called as its history. Where did it evolve from? Fine. So we are going to learn today history of cloud computing. Okay. So before starting any technology or anything you want to study, it's very important to know about its history, right? Where it got evolved from. What was the need of this its evolution, right? Why what are the advantages of this, and why it got evolved into this what it is right now. So you would have seen various kind of object around you, like inside your home only you can see there will be fridges and washing machines, coolers, or anything you can take, or even computer as well. So was it in the same way like it is right now? No, right? In the earlier stages when it was invented, or when it was discovered, it was not exactly same what it is right now, right? It was something else. Whether although it is doing the same work, it's performing same kind of work, and it's giving same kind of facilities, instead it was in the different condition from right now. So in a similar way, cloud computing, the cloud computing which we are using right now, it's a kind of technology that was evolved from some other computing techniques, right? Initially there was no presence of cloud computing. There were some different kind of computing techniques that were being used by the organization. Fine. So let's talk about from where cloud computing got evolved and what is its history. So in initial days, first of all, the computing technique which were being used was distributed computing. Okay, distributed computing. Why I am writing this? Because it will give you more clarity on the topic, that is history of cloud computing. Okay, after that, distributed computing, mainframe computing came into existence. Mainframe computing. After that, I'm so sorry. After that, cluster computing came into existence. After that, grid computing came into existence. Okay, and at last, cloud computing. Cloud computing, right? So this was the flow of evolution of cloud computing. Initially, at first, this distributed computing was there for computing techniques. After that, mainframe computing evolved from distributed computing. After that, some new technologies were added to get into existence of cluster computing. After that, grid computing came into existence, and at last, cloud computing. Okay, so let us just understand what kind of pros and cons, what kind of advantages or disadvantages was there inside each one of that, which leads to the evolution of cloud computing, right? Okay, so I'll just be first talking about distributed computing. Fine. So distributed computing was a technology of splitting a business into different kinds of sub services and distributing them on different machines. Fine. So this was distributed system technique, or you can say distributed computing techniques, which required all the system which is connected through that computing should be at same place. Fine. So this was the disadvantages of this distributed computing. Because of that, there was a need of some kind of improvement, some kind of evolvement, and that's where mainframe computing came into existence. So like what was the pros and cons inside mainframe computing that gives to the birth of clustering computing then, right? So inside mainframe computing was very good, right? It was able to process, store any kind of data very easily. But you know, have you heard about mainframe computer? Inside computer, if you have studied computer subject, then inside that you would have seen mainframe computer. So mainframe computer was a kind of computer that were being used for a heavy, like big organization, big industries, for processing huge amount of data that used to be generated. So what happened inside mainframe computer, that it is made for big organization. And same here inside mainframe computing, it was so expensive, right? Also mainframe computer used to be so expensive that it is very like expensive to afford for a small organization or for a small community, you can say. So mainframe computing was so expensive for the companies to afford it. Although it was giving high powerful and reliable machine design to process very large amount of data, uh, then also it was so expensive to afford for any organization. That's where after that cluster computing came into existence. So let's talk what was inside this cluster computing, what kind of technique it was being provided. So this cluster computing was a technology where multiple servers were grouped together. Multiple servers were grouped together to achieve the same business and regarded as one computer. Multiple servers were attached and that was regarded as a single computer. Fine. Let's see the problem. What was the problem inside this cluster computing? As I have told you, inside distributed computing, what was the problem? There was a problem that it was requiring all the system to be at one place. And a similar thing happened inside this cluster computing. Cluster computing also requires all the system to be at one place. And that's where there was a need for something else, some different kind of computing techniques. That is why grid computing came into existence in place of cluster computing. Okay, so what grid computing provides us the facility was that here inside grid computing, it is almost similar to cloud computing, but there was some technological improvement inside cloud computing. Let's just see inside grid computing what facilities was there. Here inside grid computing, different systems were present entirely at very different location and was connected via internet, like we used to see inside this cloud computing. So similar kind of improvement were made inside grid computing. But after that, cloud computing came with certain new kind of technology and add on, that even even small organization or a simple businessman can use this cloud computing according to their need, according to their requirement, right? So these small improvements was there inside cloud computing, and that's where cloud computing adopted everywhere inside all the market and is getting used almost everywhere. So I hope you understand this history of cloud computing and how it got evolved from which computing techniques. So that's it guys for this video. We will look at another at some other topic inside cloud computing in the next video. Thank you so much for attending this class.